Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, this is coming through loud and clear. Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, April 19th. Let us see who's coming through here. All right. Robert's joining in. Good afternoon, Robert. Welcome. Glad to have you. First off, before we get into it, I just want to make sure, is this coming through loud and clear? I always like to ask because sometimes we have audio issues, and some of the regulars may know that we had some audio issues in one of our recent episodes, and I'm going to do my best to avoid those audio issues in the future. Loud and clear. Thank you, JP. Loud and clear. Thank you, Lee. Much appreciated. Good stuff. Okay. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Okay. We're coming through loud and clear. I got it. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, welcome again to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat. My name is Lee Hayward. If you're not familiar with me, welcome you. This is something that I do every Friday afternoon, or most Fridays, of course, every now and then. Work, travel, life, holidays, I might have to cancel a video chat from time to time, but more often than not, I'm going to be here Fridays going live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time doing a Q&A for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group, as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. And the purpose of these chats is to basically just have a free discussion here where we can discuss training and nutrition, cover any specific challenges you're dealing with when it comes to your workouts, when it comes to building muscle, losing fat, anything along those lines, anything health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition related. We can have a chat here over the next hour and basically cover those topics and try and get you moving on the right track towards hitting your fitness goals. So that's the whole purpose of this. And this is something I've been doing for many, many years. I started doing this back when live streaming was just coming out. Even before YouTube started doing live streaming, I was doing live stream video chats with another service back in the day. It was called Ustream. This is back before YouTube even offered live streams. And I was actually talking to a person today about that, back in the good old days of the early days of the internet when I used to do these live streams. So this is something I've literally been doing now since 2008, these live video streams. So it's a passion project of mine, and we're here doing it again today. All right, so let's see who's tuning in right now. Let me know where you're tuning in from, who's joining us, and if you're brand new, please let me know. I'd like to know. I see some regulars. I see some familiar names and faces there. Good stuff. But if you're brand new to the chat, I want to welcome you, and please introduce yourself. Let me know where you're tuning in from. All right, so we have Donna joining in from the UK. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Awesome. I'm not sure if, are you a regular, Donna? Is this your first time tuning into a live chat? I can't recall the name as one of our weekly regulars. I could be wrong, but if you're brand new, I want to welcome you. Nice to have you joining us. Who else is joining in? We've got Will joining in. Welcome, Will. We've got Matthew is joining in. Welcome, Matthew. Glad to have you with us. Good stuff. And one thing I want to address, I know people are typing their questions and topics of discussion into the chat window. And again, that's how this works. So if there's anything you want to discuss, feel free to type your questions and topics of discussion into our chat window. If you're over on YouTube, there should be a chat window to the side, either side of the video screen. If you're on Facebook, it's probably going to be down in the comment section below the video, but feel free to type in any questions or topics of discussion that you'd like to cover, and I'll do my best to help answer those over our video chat. But before I do, there's one thing I want to address, and that is something that I made a post about and actually sent out an email about to my followers. It's about a summer shred program that we're currently kicking off within the Total Fitness Bodybuilding community. And if it's okay with you, I just want to share a little bit about that. It's something that I wanted to put together because this was a goal of mine, to basically get back in shape for summer and really take things to the next level. Now, for those of you who've been following along with me, my personal summer shred program started off with the best of intentions and the best of progress. I mean, within the first month, I had dropped 10 pounds of body fat, was making really good progress, then came down with a bout of COVID, and that really set me back. And I'm still on the mend from that. I mean, it's much, much better than it was, but my strength and energy is still not 100%. I'm still probably like 80-90% or thereabouts of where I was before I got sick. So I'm not back to 100% of where I was prior to that, but I'm hoping now to get pushing forward again and making some more strides towards my personal summer shred goals. And we're just over 70 days away from the 4th of July. So I put it out there. I actually sent out an email, talking about the summer shred coaching program, and, how we're close to, just over 2 months out now from the 4th of July. And that's enough time to make some significant progress if you buckle down, take action, and get serious. And it's quite realistic for most guys to lose up to 20 pounds of body fat between now and the 4th of July. And I know that's kind of like the midsummer peak of midsummer for a lot of guys, especially in North America, the United States, where a lot of my followers are from. So if this is something you're interested in, if you'd like to come on board with our whole summer shred fat loss program, then feel free to reach out to me. I'll send you more information about it. It's basically going to be like a group coaching program where I'm going to take you through the whole process of maximizing your fat loss. And we're going to be utilizing the fat loss accelerator phase from the Muscle After 40 Blueprint coaching program. So this is an advanced fat cutting program that's designed to help you trim off that stubborn body fat and do so in a safe and sustainable fashion. All right. So we're going to really dive in deep with that. And within the program, I'll personally lay out a customized training and nutrition plan for you to follow, and then follow along with your progress in real time. And we'll be having small group coaching calls throughout the program. So every single week we'll be having a small group coaching call like this. Well, it's not exactly like this. It's actually a Zoom call is what we'll be doing, where there'll be a small group of guys who are going through the summer shred together, and you'll be able to interact and participate in those group Zoom calls. And this is going to really help to hold you accountable. And it's also going to help to fine tune your progress. So as you're going through it, if you have any challenges or anything that needs to be changed as far as workouts, nutrition, all that stuff, we'll be doing that during those group Zoom coaching calls. And throughout your entire program, you'll be getting ongoing support and access and accountability. And I think that's the biggest thing a lot of guys need, is the accountability, because let's face it, everyone knows what to do. Right? Everyone knows they should eat right. Everyone knows they should exercise. Everyone knows they should be doing cardio. Everyone knows they shouldn't drink alcohol. Everyone knows what they should and should not do. But knowing and doing are two totally different things. And having a support team and having that accountability and having a coach in your corner who's there to keep you on top of your game and to not let you slide off the rails is key to success. And that's why when I look at my coaching students who are making the best progress, the ones who are staying in touch and having that constant accountability and following through week after week after week, they're the ones who are making progress. People who fall off the rails and I got busy, I'll start again next week. I'll start again on Monday. And then Monday rolls around and they might have 1 or 2 good days. And then something else happens and oh, screw it. I'll start again next Monday. And they stay spinning their wheels. It's just like their wheels are spinning, going nowhere. Whereas the guys who just show up, day after day, week after week, month after month. I mean, it doesn't have to be an extreme program. It just has to be good enough, but good enough consistently. And those who show up consistently, even though they're not doing anything crazy, when you look at what they're actually doing, it's not extreme. They're not doing marathon workouts where they're in the gym 3 to 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. They're not starving themselves. They're not fasting. They're not going keto. They're not cutting their carbs. They're not starving themselves. They're not sacrificing family time or anything like that. They're just doing a few basic fundamentals and doing the few basic fundamentals consistently, and the results speak. I mean, they see the results week after week, month after month, and they get better and leaner and stronger and more muscular because of it. So that's the whole purpose of this whole summer shred coaching program. So if you need a good kick in the ass and you want to get yourself in shape and finally be proud of how you look, so you can, 4th of July, you can go to the pool party, or you can go to the barbecue, or you can go to the beach or whatever, take your shirt off, feel confident in your own skin, or be able to wear like tank top and shorts or whatever it is you fancy to wear, and not be embarrassed or trying to, cover up or hide your mushy man boobs and your love handles and having a gut sticking out further than your chest and all that. And you'd actually like to be confident in your own skin and have a program that delivers real world results. Like, if that's something you're interested in, then feel free to reach out to me. If you're watching this on Facebook right now, you can send me a private message. Just send me the word summer shred. Like, if you do that, I'll know what you mean, and I'll follow up with the details, and we can get you set up on this coaching program that I'm putting together. If you're not on Facebook and you're interested in following through, then send me an email. And right below this video in the description, there's a link to my email address, leeh@leehayward.com. Drop me an email and we can have a chat, and I'll send you all the details. But this is, again, it's a small group coaching program where I'm going to take a small group of guys through the summer shred, and I'm looking to create some before and after success stories, looking to help you kick off that momentum and lose up to 20 pounds by the 4th of July. That's the goal, right? That's the goal we're shooting for. And I'm going to be going through it with you in real time. All right. So again, if you're interested, just hit me up down in the description below. My Facebook, you can message me there, or you can email me and I'll send you all the details. All right. We got some questions coming through here, guys. So I'm just going to jump right in and answer your questions. Let's see. Okay. A lot of them are coming through. Good stuff. All right. First one. This one's from Neil. Good morning. For those of you who don't know, Neil is over in the other side of the globe. Well, we're all on the other side of the globe compared to somebody, but Neil, I believe, is in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. So it's morning for him. It's late afternoon, early evening for me. So anyway, he says, good morning. Have you experienced impinge shoulders in the past from upright rows? How did you manage to work around, and what lifts to avoid? I've never had any issues from doing upright rows myself. I know if you go searching on YouTube or following fitness influencers or exercise technique critiques or whatever, a lot of people are going to bitch and complain about upright rows, saying, oh, don't do upright rows. It's going to destroy your shoulders. It's one of the worst exercises you can do, blah, blah, blah. Some people love it, right? Some people find it works well. So if you can do the exercise, you enjoy it, it works well, fantastic, do it. But on the flip side, if it doesn't work well and it does cause shoulder impingement or pain or discomfort, then don't do it. It's not a must-do exercise by any stretch of the imagination. Like, you can do other movements, other combinations of exercises to hit those same muscle groups without doing upright rows. Now, with that being said, there are some upright row variations that you can include that are easier on the shoulders. One simple variation is to use dumbbells instead of a barbell. When you have dumbbells, you have two handles, two free weights, and it doesn't lock you into a rigid position. And it also gives you more flexibility with your hands. So like if I'm doing a dumbbell row, look at my hands. You see, like the dumbbells would literally be on a like 45-degree angle. That's the angle that I would row them up on. Whereas if I had a barbell, my hand's got to be cocked in that weird angle and places excess strain on the shoulders and the wrists. So I find a barbell upright row not very comfortable, but a dumbbell upright row, I have no problem with it. So that's a variation that you can try, and that will probably help you to minimize any shoulder strain. Another thing is just simply don't row as high. Like some people think they got to row, extremely high. You don't have to. Like you can do moderate rows, like just row it up to the height of your chest. Like you don't have to be trying to get the weight up to your face because the higher you go, the more impingement, I'll do it on this side, more impingement you're placing on that shoulder joint, and it's probably causing pain and discomfort. Whereas if you only row, moderate, say to your arms or parallel, you're not going to get as much shoulder impingement. You'll actually be able to lift heavier weight and probably get more muscle stimulation with less discomfort. So you can play around with the technique and see if you can do the exercise comfortably. But if you can't, don't worry about it, right? You can do another movement instead. You can do other exercises to hit those same muscle groups, right? Shrugs are going to hit the traps and upper backs. Side lateral raises going to hit the side delts. Rear delt flies going to hit the rear delts. I mean, you can still hit all those same muscles without an upright row. All right, let's see what else we got there. Another follow-up from Neil says, also, is popping or clicking on joints normal? I find some clicking when I do shoulder press and rows. It's not abnormal. I've a lot of people have that. I used to have a lot of joint clicks and pops, and as long as it's not causing pain or discomfort, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, because it's basically the joint moving around in the socket. That's what it is. And some people just find that they do have the, like, when they move certain joints, or it'll pop. Usually what happens is once you get the initial pop out of the way, it's less and less. It's almost like cracking your knuckles. Like once you crack your knuckles once, usually they're not going to crack again. It's like every time you move your hands, you crack them every time you bend your fingers. It's usually like you get one pop, one crack out of there, then your fingers feel loose and limber, and you're kind of good to go. A lot of your joints are like that. So for me, for example, when I'm doing my warm-up sets and my mobility work prior to a workout, I'll sometimes, as I'm doing like arm circles and rotator cuff rotations, I'll feel my shoulders might pop or click a little bit. But once I get them moving and warmed up, they're usually good to go. When I'm doing like deep knee bends or squats, usually on the first set, I'll probably get a little pop or a click in the knee joint. Once I get it out of the way and get them warmed up, then I'm good to go. So I always try to get those initial pops and clicks out with very light weight, just either body weight or just a very light warm-up weight. And that's one of the reasons for doing progressively heavier warm-up sets. Like always start off with a very light weight, go through the motions just to get the joints, tendons, and ligaments limbered up, and then gradually increase the weight. Because you don't want to jump to heavy weight on cold joints, tendons, and stiff joints and tendons, because that's just an injury waiting to happen. But it's not abnormal. The only thing that I would caution you on is if it hurts and causes pain and discomfort, then obviously don't do that exercise, whatever it is that's causing the pain and discomfort. But if it's just a minor click or a pop, but it doesn't hurt, and especially if it goes away after a few reps, then that's pretty normal, right? It's pretty normal for a lot of people. All right, let's see what else we got. Would you advise collagen to help with weight training? What are your top 3 supplements, not including protein powder or creatine? Thanks, bro. Can hear you loud and clear. Good stuff. All right. This would actually go along with what Neil was talking about above. I find collagen is actually very good for joint cartilage, building and repairing joint cartilage. And knock on wood, I supplement with collagen, and I find when I'm consistent with it, I find I get less joint pain and irritation. And when I'm not as consistent with it, I sometimes get a bit more joint pain and irritation. Like prime example, I ran out of collagen a few weeks ago, and I just busy life crap going on. I just never stocked up. So I actually went a couple weeks without supplementing with collagen. And lo and behold, I did find a little bit more achiness in some of my joints, like my shoulders and elbows, and that felt a little bit more achy than normal. Whereas when I am supplementing with it regularly, I find that I don't get the same aches and pains in the joints, tendons, and ligaments. So I'm back on the collagen, if you will, right? Stocked up, so I'm going to be more consistent with it. And I find that it is a legit supplement. I mean, there's a lot of health benefits. You can go on the Google machine yourself and just start researching, benefits of collagen. But I can say from personal experience, I definitely think that it's a worthwhile supplement for people who are involved with strength training or any form of athletics, right? Because I mean, joint cartilage is huge. I mean, if you have joint pain and breakdown of cartilage, that's going to hinder whatever it is that you're doing. So yeah, it certainly can help with weight training. Top 3 supplements. This is a this can be a big one, because it really depends on like what do you need, what are you trying to achieve, like top 3 supplements for who or for what situation. But I'll try and summarize it to the best of my ability there. I like supplements that focus on health and well-being. I'm not big into the so-called bodybuilding supplements, like the muscle builders or the fat burners or the pre-workout or the test boosters or the whatever, because a lot of that stuff is kind of like hit or miss. You know, it's you know, I'm not a big fan of it. I'll just say that. But I am a fan of supplements that can help to increase your overall health and well-being, and to fill in some common nutritional deficiencies, or common areas where we may not be technically deficient, but we're suboptimal, right? That's a better word, suboptimal. So one that I supplement with, like zinc, magnesium, that's a staple for me. I make sure to supplement with that because most people are deficient in zinc and magnesium, or less than optimal. Let's use that word, right? Because again, deficiency and less than optimal, there is a difference. Like if you have a deficiency, then you're probably going to be suffering health consequences and issues from a true deficiency. Whereas less than optimal means you're not, you're not firing on all 8 cylinders, if you know what I mean. Like you're still functioning and you're still able to, train and do things, and but you're not firing on all 8 cylinders. You're not getting maximum benefit. So again, zinc and magnesium, that's a staple for me. Vitamin D3, that's another staple for me. Most people are deficient in vitamin D3. Even people who spend a lot of time outdoors in the sun are still very often deficient in vitamin D3. Like we don't spend nearly enough time in natural sunlight to get the natural benefits of it. And even when we do, most of the time we're covered up. So if you're covered up, like if I went outside now, like I am, I'm not getting any sun exposure. I mean, sure, I'm breathing in the fresh air and stuff, but I'm not getting any vitamin D from the sun, with a hoodie and sweatpants. It ain't happening. Like you got to be out there and getting skin exposure to the sun if you want to get the vitamin D from the sun. So even people who live in sunny climates and think, oh, I'm getting vitamin D from the sun, unless you're going around in your Speedos, you ain't getting vitamin D from the sun. So supplementing is a big one. Another one, omega-3 fatty acids. This is virtually nobody's getting enough omega-3 fatty acids unless you're purposely going out of your way to get them. So supplementation is huge. I personally use a high potency fish oil supplement that contains over 60% omega-3 fatty acids. I can't remember the exact percentage, but it's more than 60%. I know that, right? So it's a high potency omega-3. That's a must have for sure. What else? Another one that I personally use a lot and I find helpful, I supplement with turmeric. I find that that's good for joint and inflammation as well, and kind of goes along with collagen. Like turmeric and collagen is great combo to have, again, for joint and inflammation. So that's another one. I know I'm gone more than 3. You were asking me for my top 3, but those are some good ones for sure, right? Those are some good ones that I personally use on a regular basis, and I recommend to my coaching students as well. All right, what else we got there? We have Will joining in, Matthew's joining in. We've got Chad from South Florida. Welcome, Chad. Matthew's from Brownsville, Texas. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you. Will from Florida. Florida sounds pretty good right about now. I woke up this morning and it was freezing and like wet snow falling. So spring doesn't feel like it's in the air yet. We had a cold snap, but hopefully we'll get out of it very soon. Josh from the UK, North Wales, been subscribed to you for over 10 years. Much appreciated. Thanks. It's always nice to connect with long-term subscribers. Who else we got there? We have a second now. We have TS joining in. Thank you for the support. Much appreciated. I know that the messages are chopping off my face here, but again, thank you for the support. Says, do you know Doug Hepburn's 8x2 plan where you do 8 sets of 2, then the next session 7 sets of 2, then 1 set of 3, and go until you can 8 sets of 3, and then add weight for the big lifts for strength gains. The first man to bench 500. Interesting. I'm going to share my feedback on that. I've heard of Doug Hepburn, but I'm not familiar with his progression plan that you mentioned right here. However, I am quite familiar with and have incorporated the West Side Barbell training method, which incorporates multiple sets of low reps similar to this. And they do that on their dynamic effort day. Westside Barbell is a weightlifting, powerlifting club that was created by Louis Simmons. He's since passed on, but he helped create some world record powerlifters, and he had his unique methods that he developed, from study and from trial and error and all that. But one of the things is they had a maximum effort day, which was your typical powerlifting style program where you push yourself with maximum weights for low reps. But then they had their dynamic effort day, which is a totally unique form of training for most people. Very few people train in a dynamic effort fashion, where they use sub-maximal weights for multiple sets of low reps, focusing on bar speed and acceleration. So, for example, their squat day was, I believe it was 10 sets of 2. That was a typical squat day. Some guys would vary the number of sets, but it was in the ballpark of 10 sets of 2, where you did multiple sets of 2 reps, 10 sets, 2 reps, and really focusing on the technique and being fast and powerful and explosive with that weight. And I followed that system myself back when I was training in powerlifting, and it certainly helped to take my strength to the next level. Like, I hit my all-time personal best lifts with squats, benches, and deadlifts by using that method. The Westside Barbell style of max effort followed up by the dynamic effort, and that style. And it did incorporate multiple sets of low reps, similar to what you just explained there. The only thing is they didn't have a progression for their dynamic effort day the same way that you mentioned that Doug used. Now, obviously, it worked for him. I mean, heck, he benched 500 pounds, which is respectable. Even by today's standards, it's respectable. But I mean, to be the first man to bench 500 pounds that's mind-blowing. But obviously, there's some merit to it. But if my advice to you, if you wanted to incorporate that style of training, just go on elitefts.com. That's a site owned by Dave Tate. He's like one of the Padawans of Louis Simmons, who went on to create his own, powerlifting fitness empire. And he's got a podcast and YouTube channel and all kinds of stuff, but he's got a lot of content. But if you can search for like the basic Westside Barbell training template, and that will be a great place to start. Like, that's what I used for when I was training in powerlifting, and it certainly made a huge difference. And it was a fun training method because you had total opposites. You had your max effort day, which obviously you go in heavy and try and hit new personal records with low reps. But the dynamic effort day, that was a unique one, because what you would use is probably about 60% of your 1 rep max for those multiple sets of low reps. So the weights were easy. Like, you're not struggling or straining, but what made it hard is you're trying to lift with maximum force and maximum speed. And that's what made it interesting. And so you're building that strength speed aspect of where most people are just focusing on grinding out heavy weights with low reps. And when you have heavy weights and low reps, the bar speed is very slow. So you don't build that explosive power, that explosive side. But the dynamic effort day incorporates the speed. So it's almost like plyometric training in a way. I mean, the principles of plyometric training, where you're sub-maximal loads under maximum force, maximum acceleration. And that really can help to add another element to your strength training that is neglected by most. I mean, it was certainly neglected by me. I mean, coming from the bodybuilding world, where you do slow, controlled reps and tempo training and all that, like, nobody trained fast and explosive. But when you do so in the right way, it can certainly take your strength to the next level. So hopefully that helps to share some insights. And again, thanks for your support. Much appreciated. We've got Michael joining in. Welcome, Michael. We have a question here from the Facebook group, the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group, which you're welcome to join if you haven't already done so. Just head on over to Facebook and search for Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding and request to join the group. It says, have you ever tried ground animal movements? They're really popular with online fitness community nowadays. Ground animal movements. I think I know what you're talking about here, but when I first read this, I was thinking ground animal as in like ground beef or minced meat or something. That's what I was thinking. Ground up animals. Have I ever tried them? I eat ground beef. I've eaten ground chicken. I've eaten ground pork, and but ground animal movements. I think you mean like bear crawls or things like that. Back when I was doing martial arts training, we used to do some of these weird, funky, I guess, ground animal movements, if that's the term they're using. We never ever called them that. We just called it, hey, do a bear crawl, which basically get down on all fours and crawl your way around the dojo. Another one that we used to do, especially when I trained in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, was called shrimping, where it's this kind of, you get on your side and you use your arms and your legs kind of like as a shrimp, and shrimp your way across the floor. And, you change directions and work on both sides. But the different movements that were practical for the sport and just to build up strength, strength and agility and stuff like that. So I have used them in martial arts training, but now when I go to the gym, I'm not crawling around on the ground doing animal movements. I'm lifting barbells and dumbbells and machines. But hey, to each their own. It's exercise. If it's working for you, if it's popular and people are doing it and enjoying it and getting results, kudos to them. More power to them. Let's see what else we got. Richard is joining us. Welcome, Richard. He's a regular of our group as well as our video chats, and he's also a member of the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Excellent. Glad to have you joining. Michael's got another question. What do you think about drop sets coupler with the targeted cyclical ketogenic bodybuilding for fat loss? First off, I'm not a fan of ketogenic diets for fat loss. I mean, yes, they can work. I've tried them, but I'm not personally a fan of them. And I'll talk about that in a minute. As far as drop sets coupler or coupled, I guess that's what you mean. Your workouts and your nutrition don't, like, there's nothing magical about drop sets for fat loss, if that's what you're asking, right? I'm trying to decipher the question the best I can. You could do any workout routine and have it be a muscle building program or a fat loss program, depending on the diet that you follow along with that workout routine. Exercise alone does not determine whether you gain or lose weight. What determines if you gain or lose weight, i.e. gain muscle or lose body fat, or a combination of both, is your nutrition. Like, the exercise just stimulates the muscle. That's it. Like, you provide the spark, the stimulation. It's the nutrition that provides the fuel that's either going to determine whether you gain muscle, right? And if you're in a calorie deficit and you're eating high nutrient dense foods, then that can build lean muscle while burning body fat. But it doesn't matter what workout you're doing or how much cardio you're doing or whatever. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not going to lose body fat, period. And it doesn't matter. Like, you could be freaking running marathons and doing hours of cardio a day, but if you're in a calorie surplus, you're not losing body fat, right? You have to be in a calorie deficit. That is the only variable, right, that is going to determine whether or not you achieve fat loss, right? Of all the variables, calories is the most important when it comes to fat loss, or like whether gaining weight or losing weight. The next one would be, getting into your food selections and things like that. Like your portions of protein, carbs, and fats, getting into food choices. And, you can break it down in a kind of like a pyramid, if you will. But the base of the pyramid, that the number one thing that's going to end all be all, calories. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not losing fat, period. As far as ketogenic, I'm not a fan of that. And not that it can't work. I mean, it can, but from a long-term sustainability point of view. Now, and you mentioned this cyclical, I can't even say that. Cyclical, I think I'm saying that right. Meaning you cycle on and off a keto diet. Well, if you want to do it for a short-term phase, maybe, but with a diet plan, you have to look at the bigger picture. If your diet plan has like a start and an end date, meaning like, okay, I'm going to go on a 2-week keto diet. Well, okay, great. Whatever weight you lose in 2 weeks, you're going to regain it as soon as you stop your diet and go back to normal again. So I don't even like diets. I like lifestyle changes. I like things that you can do and sustain as a lifestyle change, because if your diet has a start and an end date, the results are only temporary. It has to be something that you can sustain and do as an ongoing habit, as an ongoing lifestyle. And like, do you want to go the rest of your life never eating a carbohydrate? Probably not. Right? Most people would like to have a well-balanced diet. That is what most people would consider to be sustainable. And that's why I'm such an advocate of a well-balanced diet, because it is sustainable for the long term. Most of the weight loss people get from cutting carbs, keto, whatever, carnivore, whatever variation you want to call it. The initial weight loss comes from when you cut your carbohydrates and you deplete your glycogen stores, you lose a lot of water weight, because every gram of stored glycogen in your system, and glycogen is just a fancy word of saying stored carbohydrates. When you eat carbohydrates and they get stored in your muscle cells and then stored in your liver, it's referred to as stored glycogen. Every gram of stored glycogen is retaining about 3 to 4 grams of water. So it's almost like a sponge, right? You got that gram of glycogen, but it's soaking up 3 to 4 grams of water. And you can store a lot of glycogen, right? You can store it within your muscle cells and your liver and everything else. So, I mean, when you're carved up, full of glycogen, you're also pulling in a lot of water into the cells. So you're volumizing them with water, which is good. We want that. We want a hydrated cell is a healthy cell. When you cut the carbs and you burn off the glycogen and you deplete it, now not only are you depleting the glycogen, but you're also losing all the water that was attached to it. So people will go on a keto diet and say, hey, I cut my carbs and I lost 10 pounds in the first week. Woohoo! Well, you just dehydrated yourself. You just lost 10 pounds of water. It's not 10 pounds of body fat, because, okay, what happens in the second week? You don't continue to lose 10 pounds a week, week after week after week. Right? It's just, you lose 10 pounds or whatever the number is, you lose that fast initial weight loss, and then it quickly plateaus. And then the problem is, once their weight plateaus and they get frustrated, and then they start to have the hunger pains and the cravings, and they're like, oh my God, haven't had any carbs for like a few weeks now. I'm starving. I'm craving a pizza. I'm craving donuts. I'm craving bread. I'm whatever. And they finally, in a moment of weakness, give in and eat all that stuff. And then they binge eat on all the carbs. Now your body soaks up all that carbohydrates and stores it as glycogen along with the water. Every gram of carbohydrate that gets stored as glycogen, 3 to 4 grams of water gets pulled in along with it. Now you balloon back up and you gained all the weight back again. And then you're like, oh, what's the point of doing this, right? It's like yo-yo diet extreme. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of ketogenic diets, right? Now, I know some people out there follow it and it works for them or whatever. And if that's the case, hey, more power to you. But I look at the bigger picture, not the outliers, not like the oddball who makes it work. I like to look at the greater scheme of things, like what works for the majority of people. Then what's sustainable for the majority of people, not what is something that's going to work for the few, the exceptions, right? Because anytime you go looking at stuff, you're going to find exceptions to the rule. Like you're going to find someone who says, oh, I got 6-pack abs year round and I don't diet and I don't do cardio and I don't go to the gym. Well, maybe you just have a crazy fast metabolism and you just genetically don't store a lot of body fat, but you're not the average person, because most people, even if they do go to the gym, even if they do follow a healthy diet and they do cardio, they still struggle to get 6-pack abs. So I don't like to look at, what the outliers achieve. I like to look at what works for most people, the average person, right? And I like to follow that. And what is sustainable for the average person, right? Going the rest of your life without eating a carbohydrate is probably not sustainable or enjoyable for the average person. But eating a well-balanced diet probably is. Right. So that's why, again, I'm not a huge fan of keto. But if you want more information about it, I actually go into a lot of detail about this within my Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. And there's a link to that down below in the description below this video if you want to download a copy. That outlines my experience with all these different diet plans. Right. All right, let's move on. Good tip on explosive sets. I'm sure that's what you meant. Thank you. Again, you're referring to the dynamic effort training method I was talking about earlier. Good stuff. Lee's saying, I want to add collagen to my daily supplements, but I'm not sure which is the best, a powder form or a tablet. Am I right in thinking that type 2 and marine collagen is the best? Thanks. Um, Powder, first off. Powder is always going to be your best bang for your buck. I wouldn't frig around with tablets because you'd be, swallowing handfuls of tablets. Just get powder. You can mix it in with a protein shake. You can mix it in with a smoothie. You can stir it in with your oatmeal. Like powder, or you can even dry scoop it because usually the collagen scoops are pretty small, like 5 grams ish. Like what I do, like this morning, I had a bowl of high protein oatmeal and I threw in 15 grams of collagen along with it, 3 5-gram scoops along with it, and just stirred it up in the oatmeal and ate it. Doesn't even hardly has any taste, so it didn't even like ruin the taste of the oatmeal or anything. Other times, if I just want to get it in me, like I'm not having anything special, I'll literally just dry scoop the collagen. So I'll take 3 scoops. I usually take 15 grams at a time. So I'll do three dry scoops of collagen and just chase it down with water. Now, one at a time, right? Should clarify that. Don't pour 15 grams of powder in your mouth and then try to swallow it all in one shot. I usually do 5 grams is the most that I'll dry scoop. For those of you who are wondering what the hell dry scooping is, it literally is just that. You take small dose, like 5 grams in a scoop, whether it's like creatine or in this case collagen or something like that. And you just dump the powder in your mouth, grab a sip of water, swoosh it around and swallow. I mean, it's the easiest way to take powder supplements like that, but that's what I do with collagen a lot of times. As far as the different types, I believe the one that I'm using is beef collagen. And beef collagen, marine collagen, honestly, I don't think there's a big difference as long as you're getting the collagen. I mean, there's going to be pros and cons to both. I mean, if you can get whatever's available. Again, the one that I use, I'm using the, I can't even remember the name of it off the top of my head. I get it from Costco. They got these big containers of collagen powder at Costco, and it's beef collagen. It's unflavored beef collagen powder. That's the one that I use personally. I haven't used the marine collagen, so I can't really comment if it's any better, but I know that the beef collagen certainly works. I mean, I've noticed a difference from taking it. Okay, what else we got there? Taekwondo power. Hiya. Hi, coach. Hope you're well. Thoughts on metabolic feeding window post-weight training for busy individuals, timing of protein intake, etc. I would not worry about it. I actually have a blog post on my website that goes into a lot more detail about this, and it's not so much specific about the post-workout window as it is for amino acid supplementation, which I kind of fit into it. But I do kind of discuss the concept here in more detail. But just give me a second. I'm going to share that link because it's one that I would highly recommend you read. Second now. Where's it to? It's not there. If you do a Google search for Lee Hayward amino acid supplements, are they a waste of money? That's the one, because some people say, oh, amino acids are a waste of money, and I explain the situation where they can be helpful and situations where it's basically not going to do diddly squat. And the same applies here with the post-workout window. The same principle, that is. I'm just going to share that link. So it'll pop up in the chat window there. If you go read it after this. The whole post-workout window was made popular back in the day, especially when supplement companies were promoting the post-workout drinks, especially when creatine hit the market. It became very popular. People were saying, okay, you got to have your protein and you got to have your creatine and you got to have your high carbohydrate sugar drink, and you got to have it within 38 seconds of your last rep of your last set, or else you're going to miss your anabolic window and all your gains are going to go down to crapper and you're not going to build any muscle. So again, make sure to have 30 grams of protein, 75 grams of dextrose, 5 grams of creatine, and chug that down within 38 seconds after your last set of your last rep. Like, they were so stupidly strict with these rules, and you would see guys like finish their last set in the gym and then run into the locker room and get their powders and shaker cup and mixing it all this up and trying to gulp it down as fast as possible, because heaven forbid I miss my anabolic window. Your body isn't on a timer. All right. It's not that big a deal. As long as you're eating enough food and nutrients throughout the day, you're good. There's nothing magical about this post-workout window or whatever. As long as you eat enough food over the long term, you're going to make it work. I want you to think bigger. And as long as you're meeting your protein intake needs over the long term. And when I say over the long term, I mean over the course of the day, over the course of the week, over the course of the month, over the course of the year. Bigger. Think much, much bigger. And this applies to anything with nutrition. A lot of times people say, oh, I've been following a fat loss diet and I've been following it for 3 weeks and it's not working for me, whatever. Well, stop thinking of the short term, 3 weeks, and think, okay, what was your diet like over the last 12 months or over the last 3 years? If you were in, if your 12-month average was a calorie deficit, you would have lost weight over the last 12 months. If your calorie average was in a surplus, you're going to gain weight over the last 12 months. A lot of people, they zoom in on nitpicky details when you need to zoom out and look at the big picture. If you're overweight right now, you've been averaging a calorie surplus, right? I don't care what diets you've tried. I don't care if you've done keto or carnivore or fasting or whatever. If you're overweight right now, and you're not happy with your physique, some way, somehow, some shape, some form, you've averaged over the long term a calorie surplus in order to accumulate all that body fat. And it just didn't magically fall from air and grow on you like mold or something. It accumulated because you were in a calorie surplus. That's the only way to get fat, right? You have to be in a surplus. Even if you've done little mini diet phases throughout that, the long-term average prevails. So the same applies here. Okay, let's just say you had your post-workout anabolic super shake within 38 seconds after your last rep of your last rep. But it's your overall nutrition that's going to make the biggest thing. Are you getting a gram of protein per pound of lean body weight per day, every day, week after week, month after month, year after year? Are you consistent with that? Are you meeting your calorie and your micronutrient and your macronutrient needs consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year? It's the long-term average of all this stuff. Are you consistent with your workouts, week after week, month after month, year after year? Because that's going to have a bigger impact than the getting tangled up in the weeds of your post-workout anabolic super shake. Right? Now, with that being said, when this can make a difference is for people who have you're already advanced. You're consistent with your workouts. You're consistent with your nutrition. You're consistent with supplementation and sleep and rest and lifestyle habits. And you're not drinking alcohol and you're not doing drugs and you're not smoking and you're not all the obvious stuff that you shouldn't be doing and all the obvious stuff that you should be doing. You're doing it and you're doing it consistently. So once you're at that level and now you're trying to pluck at all the little variables. How can I take it to the next level? How can I maximize it even further? This is when nutrient timing can make a minor difference. And it's especially helpful for athletes who are doing multiple training sessions. So let's just say you have a football player who does weight training in the morning and then he's got football practice in the afternoon. Well, after his morning weight training, it'd be ideal for him to get some fast absorbing protein and fast absorbing carbohydrates to help replenish, replenish his glycogen stores, to help his muscles recover faster so that he can be better prepared to do his football practice later that afternoon, because he wants to get fast absorbing nutrients in the system ASAP. For the average Joe who goes to the gym 3 days a week, it doesn't matter because you got a full 48 hours between now and your next workout. So, just your regular meals that you're going to eat throughout the day is going to be more than enough to replenish your glycogen stores, to replenish your protein, your amino acids, and help your body recover. You don't need to force the nutrients into your system as fast as possible if you're only working out, every other day, 3 days a week. So it's not a big deal. But for people who are really pushing the limits and doing multiple sessions and even multiple sessions per day, this is when nutrient timing can have a big impact. So again, the article that I shared and posted a link to, I go into more detail about this, and it would certainly help to clarify this even more. But bottom line, I don't have a post-workout super shake, and I haven't had one in years, right? When it was popular and the supplement companies and the magazines were all promoting it, I mean, I got caught up in the bandwagon and did it. And quite honestly, I don't think it made jack shit difference. I did it because I thought I was supposed to, but I stopped doing it. And honestly, if there was one benefit I got from it, I probably leaned out, because now I wasn't consuming all that extra sugar in that post-workout window, and basically canceling out the calories that I burned during that workout. So if anything, it helped me to lean out and make better progress. So I'm not a fan of the post-workout anabolic window. All right, what else we got there, guys? Let's see. I think I might have lost my space in the chat. I did. Where was I? Thank you. Gotta go. All right. See you next time. Take care. Have a good one. What do you want to just get into, you? I don't know. Nope. Next question. Hi Lee, hope all is well. I was wondering if you have any tips for battling late night sweet cravings. Yes, I do. First off, I do have a video that I'm going to share with you, and it covers my top healthy snacks that I recommend while following a fat loss diet. It's a YouTube video. I'm going to just dig it up for you. If you do search for Lee Hayward healthy snacks, it should pop up. Let me just see. Yeah, there it was. Okay, I'm gonna copy the link into our chat window so you can go check it out there. So you can go check that one out after. This will certainly help. I'm just going to call it healthy snack video. All right. But there's something I want to address that goes before this. So what in that video, I shared some healthy alternatives. So like foods that you can eat to help fill your belly, curb your appetite, satisfy those sweet tooth cravings, and do so while nourishing your body instead of fattening it. So it's healthier alternatives. But one thing that I want to address here is, if you're dealing with late night cravings, it usually starts way earlier in the day. And I'm willing to bet people who really battle with late night cravings, you're probably skipping breakfast. You're probably not eating a lot earlier in the day. And you're doing so thinking that, well, I wake up, I'm not really hungry in the morning, and I'm going to take advantage of intermittent fasting because intermittent fasting is supposed to be really good for burning body fat. So you don't eat anything in the morning. Maybe you grab a cup of coffee or whatever, and then that's it. And maybe you go until lunchtime or later, and then you don't eat. So basically you're operating in a deficit, and you're letting your blood sugar levels crash. And then by the time you do start to eat, is like opening up the floodgates, and now you're famished and you're starving. And it's like, oh, geez, I just got to eat. And this is the problem with intermittent fasting. And this is what the problem that I personally had with intermittent fasting is, I could, if I just didn't eat and I kept myself busy, and especially if I was curbing my appetite with like black coffee and just, trying to stay busy with work and chores and errands and didn't think about food, I could go all day without eating. But then as soon as I stopped and slowed down and breathed a little and then started to eat, it hit me. And it's like, oh my God, I am starving. And there was just no turning it off. And I could just eat and eat and eat. And very often that would lead to making poor food choices, leading into late night snacking and binge eating and eating all kinds of crap. And it canceled out the so-called benefits of intermittent fasting. So what I'm a bigger advocate, and what I personally do now, is stop fasting and start eating. Like, fill yourself up on high nutrient, high volume, high quality food, and nourish your body instead of trying to starve it. Like this makes so much more sense, and it works so much better when you fuel your body with quality protein, quality carbohydrates, good quality fruits and vegetables, and healthy fats. instead of trying to deprive and starve yourself and then ultimately end up binge eating on crap and shit later in the night, start early in the day with a good solid breakfast. Get some good quality protein in your first thing. Start, providing your body with the raw materials it needs. And that's going to keep your energy and blood sugar levels stable. So then throughout the day, you're on top of your hunger. You're not feeling like you're behind the 8 ball all the time. It's like, oh man, I'm starving. And then feeling like, thinking of what do I have to avoid or what am I not allowed to eat, and then trying to make the best choices. When you're not hungry and your appetite and your blood sugar levels are stable, it's so much easier to make good, solid choices. Like you can make good, healthy food choices when you're not famished and starving, right? And ready to, chew the leg off someone, right? It's so much easier to make better choices that way. So what I recommend is start early in the day and eat consistently throughout the day. Like the old school bodybuilders used to do this. I mean, there was a reason why the old school guys used to have, their 6 small meals a day, because it freaking worked, right? I know a lot of the intermittent fasting guys and the new gurus say, well, you don't need to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Your body can tide you over longer than that. And that's true. Like there's nothing magical about 6 meals a day. Like you could have 5 meals if that works better, or 4, but eat consistently throughout the day, right? Like it's minimum 3, for God's sakes. Like don't go less than 3. But for me, 4 is my sweet spot, 4 to 5. So I usually have my breakfast, then I'll have my lunch, then I have my dinner, and then I usually have a high protein snack in the evening. One of those that I shared in the video that I posted there, the recipe video. I have something like that. That is usually what I do most days. If I'm extra active, then I'll add in some extra food or an extra snack or meal to accommodate my energy demands for that day. Like if I'm going for a big bike ride and I'm burning, an extra 1,000+ calories that day, then I'm going to compensate for that and eat accordingly. So I'll probably bump up my food intake based on my activity levels. But if it's more of a normal day or a less active day, then 4 meals is usually plenty to keep my blood sugar and energy level stable and prevent those late night binge eating. But I wanted to share that because this is a common issue. This is something that I deal with a lot within the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Like when guys come on board, it's so common to see people say, well, I don't eat breakfast because I'm not hungry first thing in the morning. But then by the time the evening rolls around, they're starving and they can't stop themselves. And then they're eating potato chips, and then they're eating crap and cookies and junk and very often drinking alcohol and stuff like that. And it's the reason why they're making those poor choices. Like they know full well, like I should not be eating this bag of Doritos. I should not be drinking this Budweiser beer, but I'm freaking doing it anyway. Right? They know they shouldn't do it, but they do it. The reason is because their body is so deprived and depleted and their blood sugar is low that you can't rationalize it. And you just, you just say, F it, right? I haven't eaten anything all day. Hey, I deserve to have that bag of chips. I deserve to have that slice of pizza. I deserve to drink a beer, right? So you make these poor choices when you're in that state. Whereas if you start your day off right and you start eating instead of fasting and you start fueling and nourishing your body, then you can go all day and stay ahead of the hunger curve and make better choices without feeling like you're on a diet, without feeling like you're hungry all the time. And it's so much easier. Like this is how I get in shape and stay in shape without feeling like I'm on a diet. I mean, by doing what I'm just sharing with you here. So again, this is stuff that we're going to be going into detail within the whole Summer Shred coaching program that I mentioned earlier in the chat. So if you want some help with like mapping out a step-by-step action plan and actually having someone to take you through this, side by side, holding you by the hand, taking you through this in real time, feel free to reach out and we can map out an action plan for you, right? Get you on track to losing the gut, getting in your best shape, and enjoying the process, right? Without starving yourself, without fasting, without feeling like you're, on some crazy restrictive cutting diet. All right, where else we got? There's a second, guys. It starts with, okay. Whatever. I don't know. Someone's writing poetry. All right, good for you. I'm just answering questions. I'm not reading poetry. Anthony's joining in and says, I am Am skinny and everything I take or eat goes to my belly, nowhere else. Skinny arms, legs. I did try STEDs, STEDs, but lost most of my make sure. Am skinny and everything I take or eat goes to my belly, nowhere else. Skinny arms, legs. I did try STEDSS. I don't know what that is, unless you mean steroids. I don't know what this. Anyway, but I lost most of my R. I do not train and am trying, but I suffer with mental health, EUPD, PTSD, body anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. I think I can take supplements and get fit. Haha. All right. First off, that's a loaded question, and I am not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a mental health expert. So, like, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, like that's serious shit, right? I mean, like, I'm not trying to make light of this or whatever. That if you're dealing with that, then please, if you haven't already done so, reach out and get some professional help for that. That goes way beyond, eating right and exercising and hitting the gym and all that. Now, don't get me wrong, eating right, exercising, and hitting the gym can very often help with this because there's that mind-body connection. When you're happy with your body, when you're feeling good about your body, that carries over and helps you feel good mentally as well. Like I've had some of my coaching students who came to me on the advice of their therapists, because their therapist says, okay, like, we've been working on the mental issues, those things, but we need to focus on the physical side because of that mind-body connection. So, first off, if you're dealing with these mental issues, again, the anxiety, the depression, the suicidal thoughts, all that, get some help with that, please. For your own sake, for your family's sake, for everybody in your personal life. Like, do not take that lightly. Like, reach out ASAP. Like, that is, as far as the list of priorities, that's number one, top of list. Get this done now. Like, if not today, tomorrow, like, as soon as possible. As far as workouts and nutrition and all that kind of stuff goes, if you want some help or discuss this, I recommend reach out to me. Like, drop me an email, drop me a message, a Facebook Messenger message or whatever, and we can chat about this, offline and private, because I mean, it's just pretty pretty deep stuff there, right? And it deserves some attention. So if you want some help with that, feel free to reach out to me and we can chat personally about that. What else we got? We've got Crispin joining in. Welcome, Crispin. Glad to have you. We've got Marwin. When's the next Q&A? Every Friday, live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Do you reply? I just did. I get to them one at a time. Let's see what else we got. I think that's the end of our list, which actually works out pretty darn good because we're now at just over the hour mark. So that works out awesome. Come to the end of the questions, come to the hour mark. Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks for your questions and your support. I mean, obviously, without you and questions, there would be no video Q&A. So this is a two-way conversation, and you did your part, and hopefully I did mine. Hopefully you enjoyed the video chat. And again, just to quickly recap, if you would like some help with getting in shape for the summer with that whole summer shred coaching program that I mentioned, and for those of you who are tuning in late, go back and watch the replay, because right at the start of this video chat, I talked about the whole summer shred coaching program and the plan of action to help you lose up to 20 pounds of body fat by the 4th of July. If that's something you're interested in and you would like some help with it and to make that goal a reality, feel free to reach out to me. Again, my contact information down there in the description below. You can Facebook Messenger message me or drop me an email. Either one is cool, and we can map out a realistic action plan that's right for you. All right, guys, I'm going to clue it up. Again, thank you so much for joining in. And if you haven't already done so, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, and I'll be back again next week with another live Q&A, live at 5. Take care. Over and out.